Hello. Today I am here with Stacy Goldstein from Stacy Goldstein Coaching. I'm so excited to have her as a sponsor of the Self-Care to Wellness Bundle. Stacy, thank you so much for being here and having this conversation with me today about self-care and stress management.
I am super excited to be here. I cannot even contain myself today. So,
We're just both balls of excitement today, which is a
too
good
much
thing.
coffee on my
Yeah,
end.
I can definitely relate to that. Well, let's just jump in. Why don't you tell us what drew you into the world of self-care or stress management in the first place?
So, I think it's a great question because I kind of got drawn into it more from the perspective of being a mom. My kids are teenagers, preteens at this point, but at one point I had three kids, four and under, all of whom were in diapers at one point because one was being a little stubborn. And I was working full time, and then I was just trying to keep up with everything. I grew up with a stay-at-home mom. I felt like I had to do all of the things that she used to do,
Oh my
plus work
God.
full time, plus take care of the kids and be like the perfect person on the way. So I hit a point where I was super stressed out. And I also ended up with a cancer diagnosis thrown in the middle of all of that. It was really kind of the slap in the face that I needed to kind of get myself together and figure out where I had to go with life in order to get back on track. And so I really started looking into a lot of self-care things. There's a lot of things out there that are like, oh, take yourself to coffee and go for a walk and that kind of thing. And that stuff wasn't working for me. And it drew me into a different kind of self care that almost ended up being more of a deeper healing, like really looking at the root of the problem. And that was where I really started to see real change. Self care to me, yes, I love taking myself to Starbucks. Don't get me wrong. However, it took me a while to realize that self-care runs so much deeper than that in order to be able to be the person I want to be, both for myself, for my kids, for my husband, and for everybody else. It took me a while to get there, but I
Yeah.
did finally go.
Yes, I'm glad that you went there. But yes, absolutely. I think for many women, the thing that draws us in is hitting that brick wall because we are constantly doing all of the things, so many things, that eventually your body tells you, I can't do anymore. You have to take care of yourself in order to be, like you said, the person that you want to be for your loved ones. So I absolutely can relate, and I think many women can. Tell us a little bit about your organization and the work that you're most passionate about right now.
Well, it kind of leads right off of my own experience and my own journey because I kind of hit a point where I was like, there's a lot of moms that are out there that struggle so much with all of this stuff. I truly believe we don't have to live like that. We don't have to be constantly checking all the boxes and doing all the things and just running ourselves ragged, really. After I kind of did all of my own work, I was like, I think I really need to be able to reach out and I need to be able to touch other women's lives so that they can experience the same type of peace and joy that I've been able to experience through all the things that I have done to get to this point. And it's been really amazing to be able to see the difference just talking with people, even on a Zoom call, just seeing the difference in their face from like the first time we meet to the last time we meet. And it's just such a transformative thing. I don't even know if they recognize it all the time, but it's pretty amazing. So, my goal is to be able to bring more peace and joy to all the moms that I can touch and get a hold of. And
I love it because moms definitely need all of the peace and joy, like all of the peace and joy that they can absolutely get. So I know though that you being a mom yourself and being an entrepreneur, you're busy, I'm sure. Tell us a little bit about what self-care actually looks like in your real life, like not the ideal version of self-care, but what's at least one realistic self-care practice that you do that makes a noticeable difference in your daily life?
I can't say that it's one thing. So
Okay.
I used to really struggle with doing all the things like, okay, so I need to work out, I need to read my Bible, and I need to do this practice and that meditation. I figured out that I was stressing myself out over trying to de-stress myself.
Yeah.
So I found that if I pick one thing a day, if not two, that I can handle that. For me, I'm a Christian woman and I've been trying to be better about reading the Bible. So I make sure that I have an app on my phone that gives me a verse every day. I make sure that I read the verse and I do it multiple times per day. And then some days it'll be, in addition to that, there might be a meditation or I might work out for a little bit. It just kind of depends on how the day goes. But if I really lock myself into, okay, so for an hour, I've got to do journaling and I have to do meditation and I have to do
Mhm.
this, that's too much for me. I can't do it. But having some time hollowed out each day to kind of pick and choose what I want to do that day has been very freeing for me.
I love it. Yeah, but definitely think that flexibility is key because you don't want to stress yourself out by having a self-care to-do list in addition to your regular
Right.
to-do list. I definitely could understand that, giving yourself some grace to relax and say, okay, I'm gonna make sure though that I have time to do something, and having a little repertoire of activities that you can pick and choose from depending on how your day is going and how you're feeling. I think that is a great way to approach self-care. When it comes to self-care, so this is something that I think that many women struggle with. What do you think is happening beneath the surface when women are struggling to engage in self-care?
I really love that question because, as I said earlier, I kind of feel like it's kind of put on us that self-care is all about, again, like the coffee, going for a walk, or taking a minute to, take a couple deep breaths. And while those are all good things, they're kind of a band-aid over the true, deeper issue that we're having. And I really believe that self-care kind of goes back to deeper patterns that we have. So a lot of what I do is rooted also in neuroscience and
Okay.
looking at how we store things in the body as well, and being able to release these different patterns through different techniques. We get caught up in these old patterns, and they are things that we learned in childhood. So we have from birth to age 7, we learn how to deal with the world. And that's where we make most of these patterns. You and I were a little older than 7, and myself in particular. And those patterns that we learned when we were 7 are not serving us anymore, whatever stage of age we are, or as mothers, or as full-time employees, or whatever. I feel like we're running an old operating system to deal with current problems. And I think that's really where we get caught up a lot, because that's where all of our guilt comes from, and that's where all of our shame and our perfectionism and all that stuff all roots out of that. And we see that in motherhood when we keep saying yes to everything, and even though we don't want to, or we still have a state of panic at 3 in the morning for no apparent reason because everything in the world crashes down on us at 3 a.m. I really
Yes.
don't know what's so magical about 3 o'clock, but it really is a true thing. I feel that if we can address the deeper issue, I think that allows us to be able to approach self-care from a different lens. Then it's more meaningful, more long lasting. And then you can go have that coffee by yourself and kind of breathe and enjoy that, rather than, okay, I'm going to sit down for the coffee and then I have to go and I have to pick up the kids and then I have to go make dinner and I have to do this. I mean, that stresses me out just saying it.
It
So
does.
I think that doing that deeper work helps all of these smaller things to mean so much more. And it brings us to a point where we can respond to a situation instead of just reacting and blowing up.
Yes.
It brings us back to a better baseline and a better place to operate from.
No, I absolutely agree because that's sort of been a running theme through these conversations, especially in our society. We are sort of raised and conditioned to take on everything and give and give and give of ourselves until there's nothing left, or give of ourselves and sort of put our own needs to the back burner. And I think that you're right. That's where a lot of the, I've got to be perfect because I've got to be a perfect little girl, or I've got to do all of these things come from. And it makes it more difficult when you're an adult to take a step back and say, well, do I really have to do all of these things? Yeah. And definitely what you were saying, I think that this is a lot of where those feelings of guilt come in when you're not doing all of those things, when you're just, even if you're just taking 5 minutes for yourself to have that cup of coffee. What do you think is one mindset shift that can help women prioritize taking care of themselves without having to feel all of that pesky guilt all of the time?
I'm going to take a little bit of a faith-based turn on
Right?
this. God created us each as a unique individual. We were created to be the perfect mom for our kids. But before we had kids, we were our own people. I was, there were certain things that made me Stacy. There were certain things that made you Cassandra. There are certain things to make everybody who they are. But I feel like when we become moms, we start to push who we are to the side. That identity that we have, it's a God-given identity. And it's almost like we are kind of pushing God's call away too, to
Ah,
be who
okay.
we are in this world. And in order to be who we are, we really have to take better care of ourselves. If you feel like one of your other callings in life is to be able to paint beautiful pictures, but you just don't do it because you have to take the kids to soccer practice and all these other things, and you're not making the time for that stuff. It's almost like we are just not being true to who we are and to who God created us to be. I feel that the shift that has to happen is that we need to kind of accept in our mind that we are still valuable for the people that we are deep inside. And
Yes,
we need to
yes.
care for those people. We need to pull out the box that we stuffed ourselves away into, dust it off, and start doing smaller things to just be able to be ourselves again. Because those different things might be what, for example, if painting was the thing, maybe one of your kids will be like, oh, I really like that too. And they end up seeing your example as to how you are taking care of yourself, and who knows, maybe they're the next Picasso. It's just a matter of reconnecting with yourself, and that is okay. If you need a permission slip, here it is. I'm giving it to you today.
Oh,
You can
I
have
love
it.
that. I love that. I love that so much that I'm gonna reiterate it. If you need the permission slip to take care of yourself, this is it. And I absolutely agree with that. And even, I think even women who don't have children, a lot of times if they are in a relationship with someone, or even if they're a family caregiver and they're taking care of relatives, a lot of times because we are working and taking care of others and trying to be the perfect partner or what have you, we do sort of push who we are down and push who we are aside, and we get enveloped in becoming the caregiver, becoming the mom, becoming the spouse, and then it's, well, who are we? And so I absolutely can relate to what you're saying, that if you can reconnect to the core essence of who you are, that is a step in the right direction towards not feeling the guilt, because then you'll realize that you are worthy and you are worthy of taking care of yourself and not feeling guilty about it. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like even if you are not faith-based, we still know, like everybody knows deep down, like that pit in your stomach, we all know that it's there. We all know that we're ignoring
Yes.
it. So no
Yeah,
matter what your background is, we all know that we do it. We recognize that it's there and it calls to us periodically, like, hey, still over
absolutely.
here. I think that we need to stop ignoring ourselves and
Answer
and
the call.
yes.
Wonderful. Well, tell us a little bit about the resource that you contributed to the Self-Care to Wellness bundle. Who's it for? What does it do? What problem does it help solve?
So it's really designed for anybody, and it's three guided audios, and I call it guiding yourself back to peace. So one really focuses more on self-love, one really focuses on ditching the guilt. They're really short, they're about 5 or 10 minutes a piece, but they're things that you can go back to. You can just listen to them when you're just having a day, and you can kind of pick and choose as to which one of those things is really going to address what you're feeling right then and there. And it's just designed to give you just kind of a pick me up to kind of get you back on track and be able to move forward with your day in a better place.
Wonderful. I love it. And when someone uses your resource, what do you hope feels different for them?
I hope that they are able to almost make that reconnection with themselves, to be able to find, like, oh, yeah, I really do feel better when I do something and care for myself. I don't have to carry this guilt. I can live with more joy and peace. Just kind of taking away maybe a little bit of that pit in the stomach. Maybe tonight you don't actually wake up at 3 a.m., whatever that might be. It just giving you like a quick win to be able to move forward and just be able to approach the day from a better place.
I love it. Well, tell us, is there something that you are currently building or that you're currently excited about in your business? And also, how can people stay connected with you?
Great question. Thank you for asking. I'm actually working on a couple of different things. I have a Facebook community that I am growing, which is designed to support moms. It's called the Renewed Mom Community. Building off of that, I'm starting to expand my horizons into Substack. So I'm not sure which place I'm going to be showing up more. It's still a work in progress. I'm just trying to kind of expand into both places. Pretty excited. So, and some of it's a little rough. So don't.
It's okay. That is not a problem here. We are not stressing out about it.
But if you really wanted to stay connected with me, the places that you could find me other than those two places would be on Instagram or even through my podcast, which is called The Golden Spark. I am there every week. I may not be on social media every week, but I am on the podcast every week.
Oh, excellent. And what I will do is I will link to all of those things somewhere around this video, so you'll definitely be able to reach out and connect with Stacy. Now, before we leave, I have one final question for you, and that is, what is your favorite self-care or stress management related quote?
Think I'm going to make this as more of a Bible verse.
Okay, that's
Um,
perfect.
and it's Romans chapter 12, verse 2, which says, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Feel like that's a call to all of us to really take a deep dive into kind of what's going on in your head and how can we renew that? How can we shift the script, if you will, to be able to renew our minds and to live the lives that we are here on this planet to live? That is probably my favorite one at the moment.
Excellent. I love it. And it's important to make the time, to take the time to renew yourself, mind, body, spirit, soul, like the whole total package. And so, Stacey, I just want to thank you again for being here and taking a few moments out of your day to have this conversation. And thank you again so much for being a sponsor of the Self Care to Wellness Bundle. Really appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much. It was fun to be here.